Oh boy, do we have a great fragrance for you today. This is Sundowner from the House of Tower Perfumes. I've been speaking about this fragrance here and there in various videos, but today I've got a full review of Sundowner for you. And this video is going to be in two parts. You'll see the full review for Sundowner here, and then followed up by a top 10 Tower Perfumes video. But today in this review video for Sundowner, we also have a giveaway thanks to Tiger Lily Perfumery. Two winners will have a chance at winning 3 5 ml minis of Tower Perfumes fragrances, including Sundowner, Cour de Desert, and also Cologne du Maghreb. So find out all about Sundowner, a fragrance I've really enjoying lately, and it's perfect for fall and winter. And then of course have a chance at winning those samples. Then please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian, and yes, today I'm talking about Sundowner, the latest release from Tower Perfumes. There's actually been two releases from this house this year. Cologne du Maghreb, which was actually a re-release 10 years after when it was initially launched. That is this fragrance. And then now we've got Sundowner, and a great name, a unique name and appropriate name for this particular fragrance, because to me it is a kind of a fragrance associated with autumn. And of course, you know, we have sunshine in the autumn, we have some warmth, but it does get cold. So I feel like this is an appropriate fragrance for cold days when you have that warmth during the day with the sun, but then you have the cold nights, of course. A great fragrance I've been enjoying, and as I said, I've been speaking about it here and there, and I'm going to let you know all about it today. But before I do, if this is your first time tuning into the channel and you still haven't subscribed, please do click the subscribe button below, and also click the bell so that you'll be notified for future videos and giveaways. So as I said, we've got two parts today. This is the review for Sundowner, then also followed up by a top 10 list, which will feature this and all of my favorite Tower Perfumes fragrances in one video. Find out where this ended up in that video. But let's go ahead and get started with Sundowner. Sundowner, as I said, is the second release this year from Tower Perfumes. Of course, Cologne du Maghreb was the first release, and then Sundowner just came out within a month ago. And I think this is a really great Tower Perfumes fragrance. Still not my #1 favorite, but it's one that I'm really enjoying. And I love tobacco fragrances to begin with, and this one definitely satisfies with the tobacco. So Sundowner, a 2021 launch. The perfumer is Andy Tower, which the brand is named after. 50 ml bottle is $175. It is Eau De Parfum concentration, and this is a unisex offering. And I have a link to Tiger Lily Perfumery in the info box. You can go there and find out all the information for this and buy samples and or full bottles there as well. So Sundowner features notes of bergamot, orange, cinnamon, rose for top notes. Heart notes features cocoa, tobacco, Cypriol, and finally in the base notes we've got sandalwood, patchouli, tonka, ambergris, vanilla. So this particular fragrance for me does have the DNA of Tower Perfumes, which is also known as the Tower Odd. Yes, you experience it, and those of you that know Tower Perfumes fragrances, you'll probably recognize the DNA or the style or the smell kind of thing. So it's there. It is a recognizable smell, and it's definitely there. But even though this is kind of in that warm, spicy, ambery direction, it's not necessarily something very similar to a Cour de Desert or the fragrance Tower Perfumes is known about, L'Air du Desert Marocain. For me, this particular fragrance is a lot syrupier, but still on the dry end of syrupy, and it has that warm spiciness, ambery touches with a full-on tobacco-ish nuances in here as well. As the fragrance is, you know, first sprayed on, you experience the citruses, but lots of cinnamon. It is intense, so this is this beautiful, warm, spicy note that I really love, associated with desserts and maybe even teas and things like that. So it's very prominent in the top notes and very noticeable. In fact, cinnamon for me pretty much runs throughout the whole fragrance and eventually kind of blends in with the remainder of the notes that are in the heart and the base. So you experience cinnamon a lot here, but this is kind of like the Tower cinnamon, Tower Perfumes style of cinnamon. It's a little rough, it's a little dark, not necessarily bright and things like that. So the citruses with the lots of cinnamon and a little bit of rose, not too much for me. I think the cinnamon shines here at the top and a little bit, you know, takes over. Now, this is leading off into the heart notes, and this is where the tobacco kind of takes over. And you know, I could say that there's a little bit of a booziness in here around this particular section as well, but very, very much tobacco. And the tobacco, once again, just like the cinnamon, for me, there is a little bit of roughness here. It is a little beastly and a little rough experience. So there's that kind of like dirty, ashy, tobacco-ish experience, but contrasted with this cocoa note, so you do get the kind of a chocolatey touch, but once again, just like the cinnamon in the top, tobacco is pretty much the dominant note here in the heart. In fact, for me, this fragrance is mostly about the tobacco and the cinnamon, and then a few notes in the base working beautifully together. So this is becoming a tobacco fragrance, and as I said, this is a kind of an ashy tobacco, a little dirty, a little burned. When I'm saying dirty, like, you know, when the tobacco is finished or a cigarette, you can, there's that dirty remaining leftover ash. That's what I'm kind of referring to as far as dirty goes. Finally, as the fragrance is settling into the base notes, you know, the tobacco is still pretty prominent, and I can still also smell the cinnamon. So these are pretty much remaining here. And you know, you do get a little bit of the Cypriol and the cocoa still remaining here as well, but it's kind of like jumping into the base notes, and then Ambergris kind of taking over. And there's, as I said, there's a little bit of a roughness with this one. So there's a little bit of an animalic quality here, but everything is beautifully blended, and it is kind of becoming woody, ambery in the base. Kind of vanilla kind of takes over as well, so it sweetens up. And you know, even though it's a little rough, a little dirty, I think the vanilla takes it into almost like a gourmand direction, a very spicy, warm, spicy, gooey, kind of sticky, kind of a gourmand direction. And then of course you've got some tonka beans here and a little bit of creaminess from the sandalwood note. And it's definitely not as dry as something like a Cour de Desert or L'Air de Desert Marocain. Definitely has the syrupy, sticky qualities that I kind of like in amber fragrances. But this again is not necessarily like a traditional amber. It's more about the tobacco with the spicy cinnamon note, and of course, you know, settling into kind of a ambery, you know, spicy kind of vanillic dry down. Perfect fragrance to launch this now. I think it was launched appropriately just before cool seasons are kind of pretty much prominent here and everywhere else. And I think it wears beautifully when it's chilly outside, because it's all this very, very warm and spicy experience. And I do have to warn you, I've mentioned it a couple times, this is definitely a little animalic. There's a little bit of a roughness there, but this is what I like about this particular fragrance. I like it because it's not overwhelming, it's just a little bit, and mixed in with a kind of like a sweet vanillic and ambery experience in this fragrance. I think it works beautifully together. I think Tower Perfumes and Andy Tower has created a really, really great fragrance, and I think now this has become one of my favorite offerings or releases from this house, and also of this year. I think this is a really, really great fragrance to wear, and I enjoy its warm spiciness and, you know, the intense qualities of this particular fragrance. It might come very, very close to something like a Cour de Desert or L'Air de Desert Marocain as well, but you'll find out in the top 10, which is going to be aired very, very soon as well. But for now, Sundowner is so good, guys. I hope you guys get to try it. I do want to also say a couple of things. The last couple of fragrances I thought were fine for Tower Perfumes, but I think this one's really, really doing it for me. There's one fragrance that he launched last year, was the aquatic one. I'm not the biggest fan of aquatics, of course, but it's more marine and kind of seaweedy. That fragrance you're not going to find on the top 10 list because it just doesn't do it for me. But now we've got this really, really great offering from this house, and I think this is going to compete with a Cour de Desert and L'Air de Desert Marocain for my favorite fragrance from this house. Either way, this is Sundowner from the house of Tower Perfumes. A great performing, beastly, kind of sticky, warm, spicy, ambery tobacco fragrance. I hope you guys get to try this. If you haven't, please get yourself some samples, or you know, if you're a blind buyer, buy yourself a bottle. I have a link to Tiger Lily Perfumery in the info box. You can go find out about the fragrance there. As I said, now we have that giveaway. We have 3 5 ml minis to 2 subscribers of this channel from the USA. This is a Tiger Lily sponsored giveaway. So basically they only do business in the States. They don't send packages outside. So if you are disappointed that we're not sponsoring this worldwide, it's because whoever is sponsoring this giveaway doesn't have business outside of the USA. So this is only open to USA subscribers of this channel. Please put down what you think about Sundowner after you've watched this video, and then what do you think about it now that you've heard me talk about Sundowner as a fragrance. And also let me know, are you a fan of Tower perfumes? If you are, what is your favorite Tower perfumes, or what are your favorite Tower perfumes fragrances? Also, put down your state to qualify, and make sure you're subscribed. Other than that, good luck with the giveaway. And also, let me know what your thoughts are. If you've sampled it, if you've been curious about it, and or what are your thoughts about this particular fragrance? I'd like to find out and hear from you guys, so I can see if you are enjoying this particular fragrance as much as I am. And also, you know, now that I'm asking you to do this, let me know, were you a fan of the fragrance that came out last year? I have a really difficult time saying it. Is it Falato Blue? Something like that? That fragrance just didn't do it for me. It was a very seaweedy, so it had lots of marineness. But if you're a fan of that one, let me know. Put a comment down, and I'd like to find out, and let me know what your favorite Tower perfumes fragrances are. Either way, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. Stay tuned for the top 10 Tower perfumes fragrances. This will be a number 2 for this house. I did a top 10, or I did something probably about 5 years ago. So definitely I've been wanting to do an updated top 10 for Tower perfumes, and now that we have this great fragrance Sundowner, I can definitely do this top 10, an updated list. Anyway, I appreciate you tuning in. Please like this video, please share it, follow me on Facebook and Instagram, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.